Hello, hello, hello. We are making a video. The baby dog and I. This is a good video here. Oh yeah. It's a good video, and he's waiting for Paul to take him to out there to the cemetery, go for a walk. But it is bad weather outside, so they are waiting for the weather to get better. Yeah, look how cute the baby dog looks. Unfortunately, he has teenage acne under the chin, and the teenage acne is a problem. I've already been putting my self-made creams on that, but he licks it off right away. It never stays under the chin. But look how good he looks. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a real good video. So a fantastic video with a disco light over that. That's a great photo. Yes. Oh yeah, that is a great photo. Okay, he got up now because I don't know. Yeah, he wants to get going, but Paul is still waiting for the weather to get better. So, still waiting for the weather. You want to get on Paul's bed? Get on Paul's bed. Get on Paul's bed. You can get on Paul's bed now. Oh yeah, it is nice. Oh, this is nice. Yeah. Well, he's kind of asking now. He says, "Come on now. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. No, we want to get going now. Yes, we have to get going. Yes, we have to get going. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes." I can't show Paul. So now he is sitting with Paul, and I can't show them. But anyway, I am making a birthday video. Ta 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 to. What is going on out there? What is going on out there? He probably thought I'm saying there's a rat or something. Anyway, I made it to the big 60. Ta-ta. Yes, I did. I made it. That is an accomplishment, okay? It is. It actually is a very, very great accomplishment. It's nice outside, even though the weather is bad. I like it. It is nice with the rhododendron tree in front of the window. I like this. And all these red petals there, I gotta show you. Red petals. Red petals all over the place. All over the place. There, red petals. Red petals all over the place. From the red flower rhododendron, from this one. This one here on the side is the red flower one. And that one is the purple flower one. The purple flower one gets flowers in the summertime, and the rhododendron trees at the other house, they are coming in all kinds of pink shades, all kinds of pink and coral and peach, and they are always coming out somewhere in June and July. So they're they're pretty close to each other in blooming. So somewhat between June and July, they're all starting to bloom. All these pink, beautiful petals. They're like they're like a cylindrical fanned out. I don't know how you call that. Like a skirt, like a bell, almost like a bell sort of shape. So skirt bell, real pretty. Tube, like a tube, and then it fans out. Very, very beautiful. You can make tea with them, and they protect you from any virus, and they cure your flu, and they make you feel better. They make you well. They're wide, infinitely wide spectrum. Antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, anti-carcinogenic, and anti-pathogenic, anti-gravitational. No, that it can't serve you with it. So, but yeah, antimicrobial, anti-parasitic, all of these things. It's all of that stuff. It is. And it is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Paul is going to go to Walmart later, and he is going to get a white sourdough bread. I wish they had those in Rudolf Steiner form at Walmart. That's a dream. That's a utopia. You go to Walmart and buy a Rudolf Steiner bread. Dang, that's like, when is that gonna happen? In 5,000 years or something? I don't know. In 5,000 years on Mars, maybe. I don't know. But, well, I already wrote letters to the CEO of Walmart. He seems like a very decent person. But they haven't changed the ingredients in their coffee creamer. So they're not listening to me on that, I think. So I suggested make them healthy. Make the coffee creamer healthy again. That would be really nice. But I noticed that some of their cake stuff has already straightened out its act. So, and why is that? Because of Robert Kennedy and the amazing dream team that is in the White House now. That's quite a switch from the worst president to the best president. So, we should be grateful for that now, okay? So, and the best president is someone who will surround himself with 3 other equally great presidents, okay? Only a good Samaritan will do that. So, only someone who thinks about progress, making things better, peace, world peace, and put all of that over money, over reputation, over if people get mad or break off from him, or any kind of ego stuff, okay? So all of the ego stuff is down, or not even, he doesn't even have any of the ego stuff, Donald Trump, okay? So, and people in the past, they thought, oh, he must have a big ego, and I heard people talk, and oh, he is so. But you know what? People misunderstand things when they think someone who sets up strong boundaries must have big ego or something. No, it's actually completely reversed. It's like, it's the person with, it's the person with the ego. The person with the ego is the one with insecurities. The one with the ego and the insecurities is the one that often doesn't know anything about boundaries, neither their own boundaries nor the boundaries of others. Okay, so, and those are also the ones that get easily bribed by organized crime, the corporate mafia agenda, the Biden criminals. Those are all those types. For them, it's money, it's ego, and they put all of that above anyone else. They are involved with human trafficking. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Hunter Biden, they are involved with human trafficking, and all of these other people that are on the take, that don't care if they continue with that and what happens to children and so on. So let's be very infinitely grateful that the worst presidents that were also all clustered together in the last administration, in the Biden criminal administration, were now replaced with the absolute best presidents. Okay, so let's be very, very grateful. The Biden criminals, because I heard people saying, no, we have an oligarchy. The Biden criminals were the oligarchy of hell. Okay? So, let's be grateful we have an oligarchy now, and that speaks for Donald Trump. Okay? He's not the one that calls all the shots and all of that. I don't like that expression at all. Okay? I'm just picking that up from other people like a slang. I need to do therapy on my own language. You know, I've become much more consciously aware about the language I use. You know, like where does this expression even come from? It doesn't come from taking a photo shot. No. So I don't even want to go any further to explain this. So let's not use that anymore, or make a killing or something. Let's not use those anymore. Let's not do it. Make a living. Live life healthy. That's better. Make the living healthy again. Okay? And with any kind of expression, turn it around. Switch it around into living and healthy and giving and equanimity in the real sense, you know, in the real true sense. We're all loved. We're all infinitely loved by the blue God, okay? Are we all the same? No, we are definitely not the same, and it's okay. It's okay. And then I heard the other day someone wrote a book that was the title, You Are Not Enough, But It's Okay, in parentheses. Whoa. Dang. That's the corporate agenda that orchestrated that book. That was written by a market psychologist. You can already tell. Okay. What do? The market psychologists? They try to keep people unempowered by telling them, you're not enough, but it's okay. What a miserable frickin' statement that is. Okay? You are not only enough, my babies out there, every one of you critters, whether you're reptile or angels. Angels are ETs, or whether we have more ET DNA than reptile, or more reptile than human and ET. It doesn't matter what the percentage of the DNA sequence, what the percentage of all of these different characteristics are. Okay, it doesn't matter. So what matters is we are infinitely loved by the blue God. Okay, but we're very, very different. Okay, we're different, and that is okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not be on the level or mentally, right? It's okay to be just a student, or it's okay to try and live as best as you can, and you make mistakes. We all made mistakes, okay? I have many regrets. I've made many mistakes. When I was young, I was naive, and I didn't have boundaries very much, and for myself or others, and I just didn't have any of that knowledge yet. So yes, Paul is gonna take you in a moment. Yes, yeah, he will. You have to be patient. Yes, you have to be patient. Yes, you be patient. So, but we learn, okay? This existence is a school that we learn from, okay? And don't listen to anyone who tells you you are not enough, or you need to level up or something. I hear this a lot. That's just nasty. Someone who thinks they need to level up, or they think that other people need to level up. What do you level up to? I mean, to the tree that is to a tree that is a high-rise building taller than you. You know, you will never level up to that tree. You can dress up like a Spider-Man in a very dusty old Spider-Man suit, and you can climb up into that 1,000-foot tall tree, like Julia Hill did, the butterfly environmentalist girl, very courageous. I would never have the courage. She climbed up into a very tall redwood tree. Those are tall, okay, and she climbed all the way up into the crown. But she was skinny and young and athletic, okay, and I could never have even done it when I was young and skinnier. So no matter how skinny I was as a teenager, I would have never done it. I would have fallen off. I would have been too clumsy. But Julia Butterfly Hill, she also used to be a model, and she climbed all the way into the crown, and she stood in the crown with bare feet, and she opened her arms up into the sky. Okay. Now, if you want to call that mastering the art of climbing up on the tree level, then you can do that. But there's no need really to do. For her, the need was to save the tree and to save that area around the tree from loggers, okay? And she sat in that tree for 2 years. You know, who can do that? Not very many people. There were a few other people that were tree sitting. One was murdered by the loggers. Yeah. It's all out there, the information. It's very, very sad. I feel for all of them infinitely much. I read her book. So, very, very wonderful book. And she got into law just for the trees, for saving the trees. She got into U.S. law, and I think she became a lawyer, okay. Environmental lawyer. And that's what I should have done. I should have become an environmental lawyer and animal rights lawyer. My mother was a lawyer. I could have studied law in Germany. Later on, I could have moved to LA, which I did eventually in 1992, to study primotherapy, and mainly for myself as a client, but also maybe to become a therapist. I don't know, but that was definitely my goal in this timeline. But I don't know if something will come of that, if I will ever be able to put this to a use in an actual way. But I should have studied law instead of psychology, so that would have been way better, way more useful. I could have helped way more life, okay, if I had done that. But anyway, so, you know, I know a guy, he studied law in Germany, and then he did a follow-up in the United States, so he is licensed in Germany and in the United States to practice law. And that's what I should have done. So, but he went to immigration and that kind of stuff. So I don't see the point in that. And my mother looked into the immigration, by the way, in the United States, and she was so discombobulated by seeing that. It was like total chaos, she said. That would take 50 years to even wrap your head around all of these different clauses and loopholes. It doesn't make any sense. So, and when I heard her say that, I was like, okay, why not even just completely forget about this, right? So that would be much better, and that would be the better approach. And my lawyers taught me that also. But anyway, so we are making this work the way it is right now, okay? And I always get from one subject into another, but one thing is very crystal clear. We are all infinitely precious, and we are all infinitely loved by the blue God. And even Donald Hoffman, a mathematician and scientist, who calculated out, they went deep into quantum physics just through mathematical calculations. I never thought something like this was possible when I went to school a long time ago, and when I tried to understand math, which didn't come very natural and easy, because I'm not interested in math very much. I find it very tedious, actually, and it didn't make much sense. But if someone had introduced math from a different perspective, from a completely different vantage point, maybe I would have been interested in it. But the way they presented it in a way like, let's just calculate refrigerators all day long and see how many are there, and then divide them in half and then play around with that. Now that didn't make much sense, because my mind was on psychology and I was struggling with mental illness, so didn't make sense to get into math, because I didn't even know that math maybe could also be very healing, so I find out about all of that in my mid and late 50s. It's like things I've never known before. For example, chemistry, I was never interested. They only presented us with these formula, with these number compositions, and number and letter compositions, or clusters, right? And that was written on the table, and then the table of elements, and didn't make much sense. The only thing that I could even understand at all was H2O. Aha, that's water. So okay. So 1 water molecule, 2 oxygen molecules that are together in one cluster, okay, creating the water molecule, a little bit larger. I didn't know that this can go into very interesting spheres, this study, okay? I had no idea. If someone had told me you can create perfume through chemistry, I would have been on board. I would have really been digging into it. I would have been studying this. I would have done my homework properly without distractions. If any kind of science field could be presented to kids and teenagers or young adults in a very interesting and applicable way, in a day-to-day living way that makes sense, like you present a subject to someone and you don't present it in a completely detached, embodied and context unrelated way. You have to present it within a context of application, within a context of usability. Usability. We can make a perfume. Everyone would have, the boys too, everyone would have been on board, Since perfumes are expensive, we can make our own perfume. You can make your own Dior Sauvage. My God, so everyone would have been on board. Or our own Chanel number 5, right? We would have been so amazed. Chanel number 5 has some completely human-made chemicals that were created in the lab. In it, always had. So, but in the beginning it had something from an animal, which was later outlawed because it's unethical. And they replaced it with a chemical synchronization. So now that's what we can use chemistry and lab work in chemistry. That's what we can use that for, to create something that smells good, something that is not harmful, something that is not carcinogenic, okay? Something that is hopefully anti-carcinogenic, hopefully good for you in some way, useful, So the sun is coming through again, so I wonder if they can go for a walk now. But there are very, very dark gray blue clouds out there, and they move around because it's very windy, and then the sun comes through, and then the next cloud comes over, covering up the sunlight, and then it rains off and on. And it was hailing earlier, and was hailing last night. It even thundered this morning, and it thundered really, really loud, really close by here. Last night, like around 2 a.m. And the baby dog was absolutely in a fight and in a completely agitated mental state. And so the Staffordshires and pit bulls, they're very closely related, of course. They are, when they get stimulated with a real loud sound or something, they go into this total agitation mode, and then they're in a complete fast drive in their nervous system. That's very interesting to observe. So yeah, what else did I want to say today? I just want to show my artwork. It's very, very nice, very, very pretty. Working on 3 more pieces over there. I already completed more pieces that I'm going to be attaching over the window. Once they are finished, I'm going to rearrange this there so that it all fits together above the window, and above that thing there, that would be so I can fit, and then in between these lamps I'm going to hang the big one. So then I have like a real beautiful art wall that is very condensed with artwork, and it really turns this bedroom into a living room, into a living space, which I really like. This is very, very lovely. Before that, it was just an empty wall, and it looked kind of desolate before. So the bedroom has looked desolate for a very, very long time, for like 15 years, until I finally started to do something with this here and make it better. And I really like it. So yes, you are gonna go for a walk now, so just be patient. Yes, he's gonna get ready now. Okay, so what else did I want to say? Before I wrap the video up, I want to say that I care about all, okay? I am not trying to be a Spider-Man. I'm not a hero. I'm just a pretty lean back grandmother with a lot of self-humor, you know. And the mission of my life is to heal my mental illness, okay, and to help other people heal their mental illness as much as I can as a friend, okay, and hopefully, you know, if that will ever happen in my lifetime, create a therapy help center and create that with people that are 100% like I am, 100% committed to making this work. People like Teal Swan, for example, and that guy Adam with a red beard. I don't know what his last name is. He seems very, very, very good and very serious and very advanced soul, just like Teal Swan. And who else? Who else that we can initiate into this process? And well, you know, if I say initiates, I'm not saying that I'm gonna be the over mother or something. No, we're all on equal level with that. And obviously, Teal Swan is way more advanced soul than I am. So I'm just older and I have a lot of specific knowledge accumulated, but she has accumulated a lot of knowledge in her very young years. So because she's an old soul, that's why. But everyone can contribute to this as an equal initiate to this process, okay? Set something up like this. And also, Suma Qinghai, she is a Buddhist nun, Buddhist monk, I don't know what she calls herself. She is a Buddhist, or I would say a Buddhist initiate maybe, or adept, like an arhat, okay, someone who's very, very advanced, a very advanced Buddhist, and much more than a monk, much higher than that even. So, like a very, very advanced bodhisattva, actually. And now she not only is a very old soul, she's also even older than I am. And she is very Buddha-like and very amazing. And I would say that she's the only fully religious figure, or coming from a religious background, with her teachings, which are not just, of course, closed-mindedly tethered to the religion. She thinks outside for herself as well, so she uses what makes sense, of course, you know. You read a book and you use what makes sense and not just repeat everything blindly. So, no, she thinks for herself and coming from a very strict Buddhist upbringing and rigorous studies for decades. She uses her own thinking, and she uses, of course, her incarnations and the wisdom that she already came into the existence with. And she's the only one so far that I have heard of who is coming from a really strictly religious background in Buddhism, or in a religious background in general, who promotes veganism for the animals, okay? When someone comes from Hinduism, for example, I don't know how the Buddhists view this, like they are also mainly vegetarian or vegan, but the Hindus are fully vegan, but they are coming from this comes from a religious dogma rather than animal rights. And so that's not free thinking. But Suma Qinghai brings this into the world only from the perspective of animal rights, of saving the animals. So, and that is humongous. Okay, that's humongous. So that would be a great, this would be of greatest reverence and gratitude if I could ever meet her and even work with her on something like this, on a project like Therapy Help Center. So Paul is taking the baby dog. I'm wrapping up the video now. So take care. Love and peace for all living beings. Chaotic video.